What do you understand by I. Doctrine of repugnancy. 2. Doctrine of pith and substance. 3. Doctrine of colorable legislation. Ans. I. Doctrine of repugnancy. Article 254, 1, says that if any provision of law made by the legislature of the state is repugnant to any provision of a law made by Parliament, which is competent to enact, or to any provision of the existing law with respect to one of the matters enumerated in the concurrent list, then the law made by Parliament, whether passed before or after the law made by the legislature of such stage, or, as the case may be, the existing law shall prevail, and the law made by the legislature of the state shall, to the extent of the repugnancy, be void. Article 254, 1, only applies where there is inconsistency between a central law and a state law relating to a subject mentioned in the concurrent list. In M. Karunanidhi v. Union of India, AIR 1979 SS 898, Fazal Ali, J. reviewed all its earlier decisions and summarized the test of repugnancy. According to him, a repugnancy would arise between the two statutes in the following situations. 1. It must be shown that there is clear and direct inconsistency between the two enactments, Central Act and State Act, which is irreconcilable, so that they cannot stand together or operate in the same field. 2. There can be no repeal by implication unless the inconsistency appears on the face of the two statutes. 3. Where the two statutes occupy a particular field, but there is room or possibility of both the statutes operating in the same field without coming into collusion with each other, no repugnancy results. 4. Where there is no inconsistency but a statute occupying the same field seeks to create distinct and separate offences, no question of repugnancy arises, and both the statutes continue to operate in the same field. Clause 2 of Article 254 states that where a law made by a state legislature with respect to a matter in the concurrent list contains any provisions repugnant to the provisions of an earlier parliamentary law or existing law with respect to that matter, then the state law will prevail in the state provided it has been reserved for the President's consideration and has received his assent. This clause is an exception to the general rule embodied to the Clause 1 of Article 254 as detailed above. A proviso to Clause 2 states that nothing in Clause 2 shall prevent Parliament from enacting at any time any law with respect to the same matter, including a law adding to, amending, varying or respecting the law so made by the state legislature. 2. Doctrine of pith and substance. The Privy Council applied this doctrine in Prafulla Kumar Mukherjee v. Bank of Khulna, AIR 1947 PC 60. In this case, the validity of Bengal Money Lenders Act 1946, which limited the amount and rate of interest recoverable by a money lender on any loan, was challenged on the ground that it was ultra vires the Bengal legislature insofar as it related to promissory notes, a central subject. The Privy Council held that Bengal Money Lenders Act was in pith and substance a law in respect of money lending and money lenders a state subject, and was valid even though it trenches incidentally on promissory notes, a central subject. In State of Bombay v. F.N. Balsara, AIR 1951 SC 318, the Bombay Prohibition Act, which prohibited sale and possession of liquors in the state, was challenged on the ground that it incidentally encroached upon import and export of liquor across custom frontier, a central subject. It was contended that the prohibition, purchase, use, possession, and sale of liquor will affect its import. The Supreme Court held the Act valid because the pith and substance of the Act fell under the state list and not under Union list, even though the Act incidentally encroached upon the legislative powers of the Union. 3. Doctrine of colorable legislation. The doctrine of colorable legislation is based upon the maxim that you cannot do indirectly what you cannot do directly. The doctrine becomes applicable when a legislature seeks to do something in an indirect manner what it cannot do directly. The doctrine thus refers to the question of competence of the legislature concerned to enact a particular law. The Constitution has already distributed legislative powers between the Parliament and state legislatures, and each has power to enact within its legislative spheres, marked out for it by the specific legislative entails. In respect of the subject matter of a particular legislation, the question may arise whether the legislature transgresses the limits imposed on it by the Constitution. Such transgression may be patent, manifest or direct, or may be disguised, covert or indirect. In order to decide to which class of subjects of legislation a statute really belongs, and so whether or not the legislature has transgressed the sphere assigned to it, what material is the substance of the legislation in question, its true nature and character, not its outward or formal appearance. To ascertain the true character and substance of the enactment, courts take into consideration its object, purpose or design. In KCG Narayan Dev v. State of Orissa, AR 1935 SC 375, the Supreme Court explained the meaning and scope of the doctrine of colorable legislation in the following terms. If the Constitution distributes the legislative power amongst different legislative bodies, which have to act within their respective spheres marked out by specific legislative entries, or if there are limitations on the legislative authority in the shape of fundamental rights, question arises as to whether the legislature in a particular case has or has not, in respect to the subject matter of the statute or in the method of enacting it, transgressed the limits of its constitutional powers. Such transgression may be patent, manifest or direct, but it may also be disguised, covert or indirect, and it is to this latter class of cases that the expression colorable legislation has been applied in judicial pronouncements. The idea conveyed by the expression is that although apparently a legislature in passing a statute purported to act within the limits of its powers, yet in substance and in reality it transgressed these powers, the transgression being veiled by what appears, on proper examination, to be a mere pretense or disguise.